Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is another video taken from one of our double up games. We've been playing quite a few double up games and they've been a lot of fun in the evenings local time. This is a game that I am playing together with JDP El Grillo, but the catch in this game is the recording is from Grillo's point of view and not mine. That's because Grillo puts together a much more interesting board than the one that I end up running in this game. A game that leads to running a whole bunch of Star Guardians, and in particular, turning Nunu into a Star Guardian and trying to get the biggest snowball ever. I think that's what his ability is called. So this is going to be a Star Guardians game, and a very, very entertaining Star Guardians game, I promise. All right, well, as I said, so we've been playing a decent number of these games. I actually have had so much footage that I've been struggling to cast it all, which is kind of a good thing. After all, I am not exactly casting these games in terms of like making ad revenue on YouTube. This is just for fun. People don't really watch these videos, but that's okay. I make them for my own benefit. If anyone else is out there watching them, hope you're enjoying these. And we've just been having a lot of fun with these games, so much so that, as I said, I have more footage than I've really been able to get up on YouTube. I've been casting these games, and normally I try to put like 2 to 3 days between videos just so that there's always some content, but like I have had so many TFT games, I've been struggling to cast them all and get them on to YouTube just because things have been going. There's been so many entertaining games that I just want to cast, which is a sign that this set is pretty interesting. So I would say set 8's been going well, at least so far in the initial release patch, which is what this was played on. All right, well, as far as Star Guardians, I should talk a little bit about them because that is the featured trait of this video that Grillo is going to be playing into. Star Guardians is a mana-generating trait. Star Guardians was around back in set 3. It is very similar to what it was in set 3. The implementation is not exactly the same, but it's very similar. The basic idea is Star Guardian units generate additional mana, which is what they did in set 3, although they do it in a slightly different way. Grillo, I believe, is going to take the Star Guardian crest, so he's going to get a Star Guardian emblem and a rel here. They said he's going to be playing into Star Guardians in this game. Star Guardian's emblem is not one that is craftable. It is only one that you can get if you pull it from a Tome of Traits or you get it out of an augment, such as what we have here. So Star Guardian trait, as I said, is a mana-generating trait, and the description is very simple. It is Star Guardians gain more mana from all sources. So Star Guardians 3, which is what Grillo has in right now, is Star Guardians gain 40% additional mana, and then it goes up with more ranks in the trait. Right now it's 40%, and then 70%, and then 120%, and then 200% additional mana. If you go all the way to Star Guardians 9, which does require getting an emblem of some kind, because there are only 8 Star Guardian champions. Now, I would say that Star Guardians are not the strongest trait in this particular patch. I mean, they're certainly playable, but Talia's maybe a little bit underpowered. She's overshadowed a bit by some of the other potential carries. I've looked at the data, and the Star Guardian boards typically would play into Talia as their main carry. And this is just a board that doesn't really perform amazingly well in the data. It's just kind of like mediocre as far as what it looks like. And so it's I would expect that this will probably get buffed in a future patch. And Talia will have her heyday as like the strongest unit that you can play. But right now it's kind of like in the middle in terms of usability. Like you can certainly play Star Guardians. They're not terrible or anything like that. But they're not at the kind of the top of the tier list in this particular patch. As I said, I expect that'll get shuffled around over the course of the set. So if you're playing Star Guardians, the main carry is normally Talia. So typically what you would do is you would look to itemize her, get her a Spear of Shojin, get her AP items, and that's typically the way that the team will play. Early on, the unit that gets played is typically Lux, but in this game, Grillo, because he has the +1 Star Guardian's emblem, he's chosen to put the Star Guardian emblem on Lulu, so he's kind of going to use Lulu as his unit that he's going to play through here at the beginning of the round or at the beginning of the game. And Lulu's going to try her best, but she's not able to kill the additional enemy reinforcements that come over here, as Grillo is going to continue shuffling around with different units. So right now he just has 3 Star Guardians in, is still looking for more units. One of the big problems with Star Guardian comps is they do tend to suffer from weak frontline. Now there are some decent units they can play. They have Rel, who's a solid early game frontline unit. She has the Defender trait. In fact, I suspect Grillo would very much like to find a Rel right now. Or no, he does have Rel, never mind. He can just take out the Galio and replace with replaced with the Poppy right here. So yeah, that actually works out quite well. The Star Guardian trait does have Rel, who's a defender. Her traits are Star Guardian plus defender. Decent early game defensive unit, though she does get outscaled in the late game, as you'd expect for a 2-cost unit. And then later on, it actually has Echo, who is one of the best units in the set. Echo is a very, very good unit that you can have available. He has the Aegis trait, he has the Prankster trait, and also is a Star Guardian. But until you can get up to... But of course, Rel and Echo do not have any like internal synergy aside from both having the Star Guardian's trait. So as I said, this tends to be a trait that suffers a bit from frontline. It does not have a unit like Annie, which is who is a very good frontliner, at least in this patch. And so the problem, as usual, with spellcasting team compositions is just that you're if you don't have strong enough frontline, your squishy mages in the back are going to get bowled over, and that's going to interfere with them being able to cast. Note that Grillo is picking up some additional units. He's picked up a Draven and a Wukong, and he was planning on going into the mech for his front line. I think that's what he was leaning towards in this game. I believe he ultimately does not play that, but that's what he was leaning towards, at least at this point in time. So far, 1 win, 1 loss, 1 win, so off to a solid start. A few words about what I was playing in this game. I picked up a Jax from the early minion rounds, and then I was able to get the combat training augment. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'll just play into Jax carry. If I have combat training from the very end Jax from the very start of the game, I can just start stacking this up super duper early, and that'll be a very strong build for me. Now, unfortunately, what I didn't realize was that 2 other people end up also playing Jax, so I ended up being severely contested in this game in a way that I did not want at all. But we'll come back to that later. This is a game where I am not hitting, which is why we're going to show this game from Grillo's point of view, because my board ends up not being very interesting, while his board ends up being a very, very interesting indeed. I'm just playing a whole bunch of brawlers right now, and that's good for the early game, but it will fall off long term if you can't manage to hit other units. All right, so yeah, you're getting a peek of my board, which is just 4 brawlers right now. I have a lot of health, but I have like no damage, and I've been struggling to get items that I want for Jax on my board. Anyway, over here, Grillo just opted to play a second Rel for additional frontline, which I don't think was a bad idea at all. I think that was by far the best unit he could have played at this point in time, because both Rels pick up the Defender bonus. If you are unfamiliar with that, the Defender trait gives armor to the whole team and double that to the Defender units themselves. Right now in this patch version, Defender 2 grants 30 armor, and so double that, 60 armor for Defenders. That's not a ton, but every little bit does help, and it's going to provide some additional tankiness. Also, just going to hit the 2-star Rel there. So a decent opener is hitting some units, has managed to hit the 2-star Poppy and the 2-star Rel, in addition to the 2-star Lulu. Now needs another unit to put on the board, so it's like, all right, I guess Draven, come on in. You'll do slightly more damage, or you can play the Wukong for another defender. So that's Wukong actually does make more sense. So now he's got a very tanky board, 3 defenders, all of which get the bonus armor. Could play Draven for a little bit more damage, which would make sense as well. It is a setup that's a little lacking in damage right now. So Defenders up front, Star Guardians behind them. Looks like a solid opener here. I know what happens in this game because, I was playing in this game, but I have not sat down and watched the entire game from Grillo's point of view. I just know kind of where he ended up at the end of this particular match. All right, well, for this round, there's someone with an Anima Visage. Unfortunately, they have it on a unit that's only a 1-star unit and does not have a whole lot of health. Still, Grillo's board is low on damage, so it's unclear if he's going to be able to kill this unit. Would definitely like to win this round and carry a 3 streak into the minion round, but does not appear that's going to happen, unfortunately. So yeah, very tanky, but not enough damage, unfortunately. Also, the reinforcing player coming in from the other board did not help matters there. Here is the unit Grillo was looking for, Annie. He wanted to find Annie because Annie gets Spellslinger in play and gets Gadgettine in play. And looking at the item that just popped out from the Gadgettine, got a Warbog's armor out of the Gadgettine item. Boy, I'm sure Grillo wishes he had that for the previous round. That would have been a very easy win on the previous round if he'd had Annie and he had a Warmogs giving his Poppy, 900 additional health? I believe the Gadgettine Warmogs also has some slight health regen on it too. I think it regenerates 1% of max health every few seconds. I could be off on that, but I believe it has some minor health regen too. But yeah, anyway, so definitely got a big hit there in terms of the Poppy. And look at these items. A Tear and a Rod. That is exactly what he's looking for. You always want spellcasting items if you're playing Star Guardians. I also should mention, by the way, this is Spear of Shojin plus Jeweled Gauntlet just out of the minion round. That is absolutely awesome Just what you're looking for. Can play Ash 2-star here, but probably better stuff that you can play than Ash 2-star. That said, we'll put in the Yumi to pick up Heart Trait. That's very nice. Ionic Spark out of the Gadgeteen item, and I believe Grillo will go ahead and make the Spear of Shojin plus Jeweled Gauntlet combo. These items will all be perfect on Talia later on, so these are great items to be looking to play into the main carry for this team composition later on. And going to move the back line back there so that the Poppy will take all the initial aggression. This opposing player has a 3-star Renekton, so it looks like they're playing the Ash Renekton reroll, which is the most popular reroll build in this patch. This is, again, on the release patch. This has probably been nerfed by the time you see this video, because there's going to be a slight delay by the time I post this, because I have so many other videos going up on YouTube. But this was the strongest reroll build in the release version of Set 8. It still looks like Grillo maybe wins this round. It's unclear. I think he might have won that anyway, but my board's going to come over and win the round anyway, so we'll be able to win that. And it's important largely because we want to stop that other player from getting on a win streak. They had a very strong board. Renekton 3-star with a Sunfire this early in the game should be a win streaking board. So the fact that we're able to beat them and stop that is quite nice. All right, augment time. Now, I probably would have taken the Rel augment here, but Grillo ends up taking the Yumi one. Zoomies. Gain a Yumi while you fielder, your team gains 20% attack speed and zooms towards their target. So remember this. The Yumi augment here gives attack speed to the whole team. It's the support Yumi augment. And then also causes your team to gain additional movement speed. So that is the benefit for this particular setup. Grillo, oh, by the way, so here's a little micro trick that people have been doing. He is not going to pick up the orb until he sees another Yumi in the shop. This, the way that we heard this in one of the developer live streams, they said that the units that are in the orbs, they only get created when you actually touch the orb. They don't actually come out of the pool until you touch the orb. So if you're trying to find like the Yumi 2-star in this situation, you actually have very slightly better odds not touching that orb, so that there's one more Yumi in the shop if you're trying to find the 2-star version of the unit. It's kind of a small thing, but it can matter. It doesn't really matter so much for the 2-cost units like Yumi, because there are, I believe, 22 2-cost units. If I remember correctly, it's right around that. So it doesn't really matter that much for that, but like it does matter for like 4 and 5-cost units when you're trying to 2-star them. There's only 12 4-cost units in the pool and 10 5-cost units in the pool. So, taking one of those units out of the way for a 2-cost unit, again, 21 in the pool versus 22 in the pool doesn't really matter, but it does actually make a big difference if you are looking to get like a 5-cost unit. So anyway, just a little micro trick. That's why he has not touched the orb. As soon as he spots a Yumi in the shop, he'll grab that so he has the 2-star Yumi. Other big hits here for Grillo, though. He was able to hit the 2-star Annie, and he also found another Poppy. So he's actually on 6 Poppies right now. So I actually spotted this when I was looking at his board. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll try to find some extra Poppies since you're already on 6. Maybe we can just use the inexpensive early game unit send on trying to hit 3-star Poppy. After all, he does have a Gargoyle Stoneblade on Poppy, so not the worst unit to have. This is a unit that he could will probably get replaced later, but, if he 3-stars the Poppy, why not? Maybe he keeps the Poppy in there. He's going to be playing Rel regardless, so not really bad to be running the Poppy up there for additional front line. Anyway, this person already has Viego, which is a little bit concerning, but fortunately the carry Lulu there in the back lines is able to pop that, and then my board is able to come over. I've been able to make that Warbogs on Vi. I think I have 4 Brawlers in, so Vi is just like a tremendous amount of health for this early in the game. And I was finally able to get some decent items on Jax. I was able to get the Titan's Resolve and also Bloodthirster. Unfortunately, I've still only found 1 Jax, so I'm not close to 2-starring that Jax. All right, well, let's see what Grillo is looking for here. He is going to have 3rd pick. I've been on the biggest win streak, so I'm going to be last pick here on the carousel. And what does he look for? There's another tier option here. Or, okay, he's going to go for the frontline option. I guess he was thinking that he already has Lulu fully itemized, so it's true. He probably doesn't need that. And I suspect this is going to be for the Sunfire on Rel, which is going to be another nice item, and also get the heal cut into his team composition. All right, Grillo's going to have the option to send me something. I believe I asked for the 3 components. It is the more expensive option, so this is me being greedy. But he is going to send that to me. Unfortunately, I still do not get what I was really looking for, which was a bow. What I ended up getting was a ton of swords and a ton of rods. Look at my bench there. 3 rods, 2 swords. I was like, What do I do with that in a Jax team composition? I am not sure, but I don't want to make a Gunblade. It's actually not terrible in Jax, but I already have a Bloodthirster, so there's really no need for it. But I have 3 rods and 2 swords. I was like, these are not items I can really use in this particular setup. So that's a little bit frustrating right there. Anyway, Grillow's going to go ahead and level to 6. He's actually been, a level to 6, right? Yeah, he's actually been slow playing this. He's actually only going to level 6 at a very delayed time. So as I said, he's been slow playing this. That's also partly my fault because I had him give me the 13 gold, which is very expensive, but 3 components are useful. Unfortunately, I got a very, very bad roll in terms of what components I was getting. Eventually, I would find a Soraka, or either that or Grillo finds a Soraka. I can't remember. And I would just start stuffing items on Soraka. I think I made like a Death Cap and a Gunblade or something like that. But yeah, Grillo's econ has been slowed a fair bit. Good news is he's going to hit the 2-star Lux, so that's not a bad unit. He'll be able to play that. Lux is a unit, even though she's an early game 1-cost unit, she's going to be played on pretty much any Star Guardian board. And I was able to send him a Spatula. Now, again, of course, you can't make a Star Guardian emblem, but there's presumably something decent he can make from this. He could always use it to make like a heart emblem is a possibility. Also, Oxforce is a possibility if you're running Annie. You could turn like Poppy into an Oxforce unit if you can get the vest. So there are some options here as far as what Grillo can do with that Spatula. But he cannot make another Star Guardian because it is not a craftable emblem, unfortunately. Anyway, we're still win streaking here, so we're feeling pretty good. Again, Grillo was planning on playing this just as like a transition setup, but ultimately he changes his mind and he ends up just playing Star Guardians long term as well. So yeah, for the time being, he's holding like Zed and Draven, but ultimately he ends up, I think he ends up selling these units long term because he ends up sticking with the Star Guardians. By the way, that Misfortune ult just did so much damage. Now, can he manage to finish off MF before she ults again? Lulu, the carry Lulu, just busts right through the MF. And the Jewel Gauntlet crits, and that's enough to win that round. And now can we win this one? We're both win streaking. We'd really like to carry this win streak through into the minion round, and looks like we were able to. Unfortunately, you saw someone else was playing Jax as well. And as I said, there's actually 3 people playing Jax in this lobby, which is very unfortunate for me, and a reason why I'm going to have trouble hitting. All right, well, this is good news. It's going to be able to find the Echo pretty early for Echo. That's a 5% odds Echo, so that's going to be better than something that can be played. Probably the goal here is just go to level 7 and then put in Echo for 5 Star Guardians. Echo, one of the best tanks to play in this team composition. So I mentioned that Star Guardian is one of the traits that's kind of under the radar to some extent. It's not that popular in this particular game. Oh, by the way, there's another Tome of Traits there. He has an option to pull another Tome of Traits. Can he pull another Star Guardian? That would actually be really good if he could pull another Star Guardian here. And by the way, there's the Yuumi, so now makes the Yuumi 2-star. As I said, had slightly better odds to find the Yuumi when that happened. And is Grillo going to wait to pull the Tome of Traits, or does he grab it here? Let's see. All right, he pulls it in. Oh, Star Guardian. Another Star Guardian emblem. Okay. Now he can just turn Annie into a Star Guardian as well. Actually, every other unit on the board, I think, is this. Oh, no, he turned Poppy into a Star Guardian. Okay, interesting. I thought he was going to turn Annie into a Star Guardian, but no, Poppy instead. So that is now +2 Star Guardians. +2. That's a very nice increase indeed. So again, Star Guardians increase the mana generation for each one that you get in there. The big problem with the Star Guardians is a lot of the Star Guardians are kind of weak units. You have Lux, who's a 1-cost unit. You have Rel, who's a 2-cost. And you have Yuumi, who's also a 2-cost. Then you have Kaisa and Neela, who are 3-costs. Echo and Talia, who are 4-costs. And then Syndra, who's a 5-cost. So this is like a big vertically scaling trait. As you can imagine, there's 8 different Star Guardian units, as sadly this round is finally going to end the win streak that Grillo was on. So 8 of those units, but there's a lot of early game units, so it's usually not worthwhile to play too deeply into the trait. By the way, here is the last augment. Let's see, Grillo does have a reroll. Let's see if he uses it here. And he's got some good choices here. Cybernetic, actually all of these are good. Cybernetic's great. Spellslinger would be pretty nice as well. He could look to get up to 4 Spellslinger more easily. Let's see which one he ends up picking up. Okay, he ended up picking the Heart one. That's going to get him to 3 Heart. And then if he can find a Syndra later, that'll get him up to 4 Heart. So not bad. Get that stacking AP when you play units. Anyway, so my point is that Star Guardians is this big vertically scaling trait. Puts in Sona for the 4 Heart. Good call. But typically you don't want to play all the Star Guardians in the late game just because a lot of them are fairly weak. Lux is a bit of an exception just because of her traits. It's often worthwhile to run Lux as a trait bot in the late game because Lux has Star Guardian and Spellslinger, and those are the same traits as Talia. So you can double up on the traits and then have a Lux then you can be giving 2 traits that are very strong over to Talia, so she gets the benefit of both of them. I mentioned Star Guardians is a mana generating trait. Spellslinger is a trait that gives you increased damage on your auto attacks. Every 5 seconds, you toss out the Spellslinger enchanted auto attack. And it also just gives raw AP to your units. So Star Guardian or Spellslingers just have increased AP, and it's actually quite a lot. Let me pull up the cheat sheet again, as we unfortunately lose another round here for Grillo. Spellslinger 2 doesn't really do that much. It's 25 ability power, but Spellslinger 4 is 60 ability power, and then 6 is 100 ability power. So that's an awful lot of ability power that you start stacking up there. So I thought Grillo was gonna take the Spellslinger. I actually didn't remember which one he took. But but he took the heart, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad option either. All right, so now he is going to find the key unit of the game. I should have highlighted this earlier. And that is Nunu. Nunu is our featured unit in this game. He is going to find the Nunu and is going to turn Nunu into a Star Guardian. Now, this is a very unorthodox play. Typically, when people are turning a unit into a Star Guardian, I've heard people say Soraka is a good Star Guardian, which she is. I've heard people say Zoe is a good Star Guardian as well. But Nunu is not a unit that I've heard people typically say, hey, let's turn this unit into a Star Guardian. But it turns out he's actually a pretty good Star Guardian as well. And that's just due to the way that his ability works. Look at him flying around on the screen, tossing that giant ball around. Very, very amusing stuff. We'll get back to Nunu in a second. We're about to come up on another carousel. So anyway, I come on over here, but no, never mind. It was another player who's Jax. I didn't know if that was my Jax reinforcing or someone else's Jax. So we were on this big win streak, but that has come to a close. Now, there is something very valuable here. There's another spatula on this carousel. Remember, Grillo already had a spatula that he took earlier in the game. So if he takes that, that's a Tactician's Crown. Oh, that person went past the Zac. So Grillo's going to get +1 team size here. So he now has double Star Guardian emblems and a Tactician's Crown. Wow. Okay. So this actually makes it practical to go up to 7 Star Guardians and even 9 Star Guardians because he's got extra Star Guardians on non-Star Guardian units plus the Tactician's Crown. In addition to this, I am going to send him the 3-star Poppy. So I was able to send a 2-star Poppy, and Grillo already had 6 of them. So he gets the 3-star Poppies. Now I can just put another unit on the board. He's going to put the Zoe in for right now. Actually, he should probably put Soraka in because that would give him 4 hearts. That's probably a better unit to play right now. Otherwise, he has extra Gadgeteen. Anyway, though, so let's go back, now that we have a minute here, let's go back and talk about Nunu. Nunu is one of the legendary units in this set. His abilities are Mascot, and the other one is Gadgeteen, so can get Gadgeteen here from running the Nunu. His ability is called Biggest Roboball Ever, play of words on the biggest snowball ever from normal League of Legends. Passive, Nunu and Willop slowly roll a ball around the board, dealing magic damage to all enemies it passes through, gaining 30 mana per second. Nunu and Willem grow the ball, increasing their speed, radius of the ball, and its damage dealt by 40%. So did you get that? Nunu's mana cost is 90. Should have said that, but his mana cost is 90. He gains 30 mana per second. Whenever he uses his ability, the ball grows, increases speed, radius, and damage by 40%. So he gains 30 mana per second, and every 90 mana, he increases the size of the ball. So, by turning him into a Star Guardian, remember, Star Guardians increase mana generation from all sources. That includes things like Spear of Shojin, that includes things like Blue Buff, and that includes Nunu's ability, which causes him to gain 30 mana per second. So right now, Grillo has in Star Guardians 5, and in this patch at least, the mana generation from Star Guardian 5 is 70% additional mana. So he's not gaining 30 mana per second. He's gaining 30 times 1.7. So that's about 50 mana per second. So instead of increasing the size of the ball every 3 seconds, he increases the size of the ball about every 2 seconds. And you can see where this is going, right? As Grillo increases the Star Guardian rank of his team, he's going to increase how much mana they're all generating, and he's going to increase how much mana Nunu is generating. And if he can get up to Star Guardians 9, which is very possible because he has, remember, +2 Star Guardians on his team, he only has to play 7 Star Guardians, and he even has an extra team slot because he's got the Tactician's Crown. He can get up to 200% faster mana generation on Nunu. At 200% faster mana generation, Nunu increases the size of the ball every second. And remember, his champion augment was Zoomies. That is the augment that is the support augment for, what's her name, for Yumi. That one causes your units to zoom towards the enemy units. It means that their movement speed is a little bit faster. Again, irrelevant for most units, but Nunu, movement speed is actually extremely important on Nunu. So yeah, Grillo just needs to get up to a higher Star Guardian count, and then he needs to get Nunu, then he needs to try to find 2-star Nunu, and then this will just start to get really, really, really silly. So that is the goal for the team right now. Let's see how he can put the pieces of this team together. All right, Grillo is lacking in frontline right now. He's a little weak in that area, but he's going to go ahead and toss in the Zoe and put a Zerat portal on the Echo. Still, the feature of this is the Nunu. So look at Nunu zipping around this board. Grillo has really smartly itemized him. He put a Gunblade, so Nunu will heal as he deals damage. That's important so Nunu doesn't get focused and die in the fights. The longer he can stay alive pushing that ball around, the more damage he's going to do. And then also a Jeweled Gauntlet, so his ability can crit. That's really nice. Now, one other funny thing about this is, remember, this is double up mode. So if Grillo wins his round, he can still come over to my board and push that stupid ball around and continue growing in size there as well. So yeah, his board can definitely get stronger from this as well. Now, as far as what I'm looking for, I didn't really have a need for much of this stuff. The Spatula is not going to help my Jax team composition. By the way, I finally hit Jax 2-star on 5-1, but my board is falling off drastically because I am nowhere close to Jax 3-star, and like Jax 2-star does not carry your board on stage 5. You really need to get close to Jax 3-star. And I was just struggling because all these other people were playing Jax in the lobby. So the less said about my team, the better. I don't really have much to say. I actually take the remover option because I just want Grillo to have more gold here so that he can look for some more of these units. He is looking for Jaxes for me, but we're just having trouble finding them because there's so many Jaxes out of the pool. Still, he really should try to get up to 7 Star Guardians. It's actually a pretty big boost in terms of mana generation. Also needs to find Talia. He has not managed to find Talia yet. He's actually holding a Spear of Shojin for Talia, but is having terrible luck at finding this unit. So normally, again, Star Guardians normally plays into Talia, but that is not the unit we're playing into in this game. It's Nunu and his ball of destruction as he wheels it in circles around this board. He did 966 damage on that last spellcast. And here's Nunu. He's got the ball. He's rolling it. Look at the size of this thing. It's taking up half the screen. Oh my goodness. And that's only with Star Guardian 5. This can get even more silly if Grillo plays up into higher tiers of the Star Guardian trait. One thing I do like that he's doing is he's deliberately leaving a slot open on the Poppy. So anytime he gets a good defensive item, he can send that over. He can put the Gadgettine item on the Poppy, because Poppy is still the main tank for this particular team. All right, that's going to be 2-star. Okay, a bunch of 2-stars. 2-star Sona. Going to drop the Soraka just to put in the Syndra so that you can grab units in off the bench and start tossing them in. Next, we're going to make another Zerat portal. I like that. And then going to toss in the Lux. That gets us up to Star Guardian 7. Does put it at 3 Spell Slinger, so now needs to find Talia. Still has the 4 Heart in, and still holding items for Talia on the bench because has not been able to find Talia yet. So needs to get Talia and then can put in the Kaisa. I don't think Kaisa's on the board yet, and that will get up to 9 Star Guardians, which is 200% more mana generation. Anyway, so 7 Star Guardians goes from the 70% mana generation up to, where is Star Guardians on the cheat sheet? 120% additional mana. So Nunu's base mana generation is 30. 120% of that is 60. What is that? 66? 66 mana per second. So he's increasing the size of the ball like not every other, faster than every other second. It's like 3 times every, no, it's twice every 3 seconds, something like that. So that's pretty good stuff. Now going to hit 2-star Soraka, although I don't know if he's going to be able to play Soraka long-term in this setup. Here I'm going to get, I get a 2-star, what did I send? I sent a 2-star Kaisa? Okay. I am surprised why I sent, or what was, I guess that was a send for me. Anyway, so now Grillo's dropping some of these units. He is still holding Jaxes for me. Also picked up a Leona for me as a potential possibility. Now he's got a, what is this, a Thieves Glove to put on someone. Have to decide which unit to put that on. I think he puts it on Annie. Not a bad choice. And he still has this. I put the Spear of Shojin on Syndra. That's a good choice. So Syndra will now grab units off the bench and throw them in faster. Remember, Star Guardian's mana generation does synergize with Spear of Shojin. So this will cause Syndra to grab units. Actually, Syndra is tossing in units like crazy because she has the normal Spear of Shojin and the Gadgettine Spear of Shojin as well. So she was just grabbing units and tossing them in off the bench. Over and over and over again. By the way, I have 2 out of 3 Talias, so we're hoping that we can get one more Talia so we can send that over to the other board. Again, Grillo is looking for Jaxes for me, but just can't seem to find them because, again, my board is there's so many people playing Jax. I guess we're down to just one other team now. The problem is they already have like 8 or 9 Jaxes, and I don't know if people realize this. There are 18 total 3-cost units, so there's enough for 2 teams to have exactly 9 copies of a unit for 3-star. But if the other team gets a 3-star Jax and then takes 1 more out of the pool, it actually becomes impossible for me to 3-star Jax because they would have 10, and then I would only be able to get 8 on my end. Looks like they have not managed to 3-star their Jax yet, but they are sitting on at least 6 Jaxes. They actually don't even have a 3rd item on their Jax, which is a little funny. I was forced to put a Deathblade on Jax for my last item, which is not what I wanted, but I could never get a bow for a Rageblade, unfortunately. Anyway, once again, the Nunu is just pushing the ball around like crazy. He is not necessarily hitting a ton of units. I will say that Nunu is very good AoE damage. Nunu's single target damage is actually pretty lousy, so Nunu is not a great fit into a unit, like one super unit like the Jax mech. But it is quite good against everything else. It is pretty hilarious watching this unit shove the ball around there. So Grillo is trying to get to level 9, and then at level 9 he can put in the Lux, and then he just needs to find Talia. He will probably take out Sona. I think he has to take out Sona from his board to put it all together. But to get 9 Star Guardians in, that would definitely be worthwhile. Well, we are in good shape in this lobby. Grillo's been win streaking for some time now. He's basically carrying me because my board is falling off pretty heavily now that I am not able to hit the Jax 3-star. And it's just, I think I just have like a Soraka back there behind him, but my board is pretty mediocre, especially for a double-up game. It is increasingly about the Nunu, so I am looking for more Nunus here as well. Nunu 2-star would be a really big deal. But the other unit that's really carrying Grillo is the Syndra. The Syndra is doing amazing work with that Spear of Shojin, just grabbing units and tossing them into the back line. This is kind of a weird game for Star Guardians because it's like a non-Talia game. Like, it really has not featured Talia at all. But Grillo's making do with like the other units that are out there. There's Talia. Okay, now we've got the 9 Star Guardians in. There you go. 9 Star Guardians plus Zoomies for the Nunu. This is like the dream Nunu setup for everything you want. There's 2 out of 3 Nunus, and I'm actually going to send another Nunu. I believe I was able to find one, and there we go. Got it just in time. So boom, 9 Star Guardian, Zoomies, Nunu with the 2-star and with the Gunblade plus Jeweled Gauntlet. So yeah, this Nunu is absolutely flying around the map, growing that ball at a preposterous rate. His ball grows every single second now because he has 200% mana generation. That's 90 mana per second, and it costs 90 mana to increase the size of the ball. So, all right, here we go. I'm losing this round pretty badly, but oh, here comes the Nunu. He's bringing in the ball, but wait, what? What? Oh, the Jax apparently just killed him. The Jax had the Rageblade all the way stacked up. So it was like, we did not manage to knock that team out of the lobby on that round. That was disappointing. The Nunu actually died. I was so convinced that the Nunu was invincible, but no, the Jax actually did end up popping him because the Jax was fully stacked up. But now Grillo's going to have a chance to face that same board before that Jax has managed to get stacked up. Now he's got a chance to take another item here. He could take the blue buff potentially, or let's see what he ends up going with, or another frontline item. I think it's probably the blue buff for one of his units. Let's just see who decides to put this on. I think he puts this on the Syndra, because Syndra's kind of been his carry unit. Yeah, Talia, just a trait bot in this game, hilariously enough. Just a trait bot for Spellslinger and Star Guardian. All right, it's all about the Nunu, though. Come on, Nunu. Keep rolling that ball. You got to get it over to the Jax. Get out of the corner, Nunu. That ball is already doing 400 damage, 900 damage. But can he finish off the Jacks? Well, it's not great against Jacks, but it is good at clearing everything else out so the rest of Grillo's team can focus on Jacks. Now we're going over to the other board, and again, I'm losing quite badly, but oh, the Nunu Death Ball! It takes up the whole screen. You can't even see the top of it. I kind of wish we'd gotten a couple more rounds there just to see how ridiculous Nunu could get. But yeah, there you go. That's Nunu with the giant Roboball taking up the entire screen. The whole thing was even cut off at the top. Well, anyway, that's where the video recording cuts out, so I'll just put a static image of the endgame stats here. This was a fun game. I really hope that this one was entertaining to watch. I don't know if we're ever going to see a Nunu like this again in our games, but I'm glad we got to see it once. Thanks once again for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one, and thanks to Grillo for sharing this replay with me. Until next time, have a great week, folks. Take care.